Affairs Committee. Congressman, it's great to have you on the show. Let me start with what you knew going into this. Were you, sir, one of those that received a briefing from the U.S. intel community about Prigozhin, or did you have, maybe you don't want to talk about the briefing specifically, but did you have any insight that Prigozhin was somebody who was turning his anger and perhaps his guns towards Moscow?
Well, I don't think it matters who was briefed and not. I think we all saw the tension rising with Prigozhin, the comments he was making about the Russian sort of high military leadership. This was more of a mutiny than a coup, but it was obviously shocking. And I think the course of events as it has played out, I'm not sure that anybody could have predicted that.
Let me pick up on the point that our previous guest, Colin, was talking about, and that is, what is the U.S. strategic objective here? What should the U.S. be doing as they watch these events unfold? What is the major or the number one priority from your vantage point that concerns the United States right now?
Yeah, stay the course. Stay the course. Our strategy is working. The Ukrainians are advancing. We're putting tremendous pressure on Putin and the entire structure of corrupt folks that he's surrounded himself with. And what we're seeing, I think, is the first real chinks in that armor, but they've been there, and it's been showing up. And so we are doing the right thing. The Ukrainians are succeeding. What was a special operation that was going to last, a week tops, now sees, for the first time since the 1990s, Russian-on-Russian violence inside their borders. So stay the course. This is working. This has been a strategic failure for Vladimir Putin, which many of us said from the very beginning it would be.
If this stay the course approach continues and Russia continues to weaken and we see another direct challenge to Vladimir Putin, wouldn't you be concerned of a destabilized nuclear country descending into internal strife?
Yeah, you put your finger right on it. This is still the country with the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, and most of their nukes actually work. And so we are, I think, Western capital, everyone around the world is going to have to be concerned about what's happening here, because this has been the discussion we've had for some time. What would come after Putin? It's not necessarily true that it would be somebody better, as your previous guest was saying. It could be somebody who was even more, of an ultranationalist, someone who's even worse. And so, the nuclear command and control, I'm sure, is exactly what the White House in the Situation Room and at Camp David, what they're talking about this weekend over the last few days.
Let me ask you about what happens on Capitol Hill. There have been members of the Republican Party who want to cut back aid to Ukraine. There are, including Speaker McCarthy, who said no more blank checks. Does what this over the past 24 hours, the events of the past 24 hours, does that vindicate the Biden administration's policy, as you said, of staying the course? Will this change any minds among Republicans in Congress that the strategy of helping and aiding Ukraine has weakened Russia?
Well, I hope my colleagues are paying attention, the ones who have been questioning our aid to Ukraine. I hope they're paying attention. I hope they're feeling a little bit of shame, but I doubt it. I think that it's not really about whether or not our strategy has been successful in Ukraine. It's more of a pro-Putin ideology, and so that's actually the root of the problem. That I think we unfortunately have some folks in the United States Congress who do want to see Vladimir Putin succeed, maybe because they think he'll help them politically. I don't know. But obviously, this is evidence, in my opinion, of the tremendous success of the Ukrainian military, of their political leadership, and of our support that's allowed that to happen. And we should all look at this and say, yes, obviously these are shocking events, but also tie it back to that we forced them into this by their decision, by Putin's decision, to invade a free democracy that was their neighbor, and to do all these war crimes and terrible things that they've done over the last 480-something days.
Let me, if I can, sir, just switch really quickly to politics for a moment. There is a new NBC News poll that is out today in a hypothetical rematch between President Biden and former President Donald Trump. Biden gets support from 49% of registered voters. Trump gets 45%. Biden's lead is within the margin of error of that poll. What is your big takeaway of a potential Biden-Trump rematch and this latest poll?
Well, I just think that it shows that most Americans are ready to move past the incredibly divisive period of politics that Donald Trump has represented. I am running for Senate against somebody who I think also represents that in Ted Cruz in Texas. He's somebody who I think has been an avatar in many ways of some of the worst parts of our politics. And if folks out there agree, I hope they'll go to colinallred.com and get involved, because we can do a lot better. I think this poll shows that there's a national urge for it. There certainly is in Texas as well.
Texas Congressman Colin Allred, sir, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Eamon.
Up next.